Hello, I'm Bernie Hayes. Today we're going to talk about tourism, African American, Black, Negro, colored tourism today on the Bernie Hayes Show with Nelson Harvey. And welcome back. My guest, as I mentioned earlier, is Nelson Harvey. Nelson, welcome. So good to see you.
Good seeing you, Bernie.
It's been a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, how you been?
Hanging in there, hanging in.
You know, you're one of the most noted entrepreneurs in the St. Louis area. And your history, your background, your things that you've done are so challenging. And you've always been so visible in that arena. Tell us about what you're doing now.
Well, Bernie, now I'm concentrating on trying to generate additional business for Black club owners, restaurants, venues in the hospitality industry.
Okay.
And by creating a campaign that will inform everyone who's coming into St. Louis to have an opportunity to enjoy the Black experience. Okay. Now, as you know, originally I'd started at the 7-Up Company, world headquarters, back in the early 70s,
right.
Being the first Black in the advertising department and part of the marketing team of the Uncola.
Yeah.
And then from that, I was able and fortunate to work with Colonel Gates, C.W. Gates, who owned Lismark Distributing, one of the 3 Black-owned operated Miller beer distributorships in the country.
Right.
And at that point, I was exposed to working with 80% of our total business came from the Black market. And the distributorship was a combination of city and county. Okay. And at that point, I was able to just follow. And matter of fact, I should mention that in 1984, 85, and 86, Lismark Distributing, got on the Black Enterprise Top 100 Businesses.
Wow.
Okay. And one of the key things that I felt was important is that when you see the impact that Black clubs have in the city in terms of employment, just in terms of generating employment itself, in terms of providing income and dollar flow in the Black community, it was something that I knew that since tourism is becoming the #1 industry, we have to take control of tourism.
Sure.
Now, one of the things that many people, when you look at tourism, you think about the Arch, you think about Forest Park, you think about Laclede's Landing, things of this nature. But we're focusing in on trying to get people to see that when you come to St. Louis, you can enjoy blues, you can enjoy jazz, but within Black-owned operated venues. And I think that's extremely important. Now, the St. Louis Independent Liquor Licensees, which is known as the Steel Organization, is an organization that was formed to bring Black club owners together.
Yeah.
Okay. The St. Louis Black Tourism Association, our objective, is to position St. Louis Black clubs, restaurants, venues, entertainment as a premier destination for tourism and urban travel.
Sure.
Within a 300-mile radius. Basically, what we're trying to say is that if you're from Decatur, Illinois, if you're from Columbia, Missouri, Springfield, those cities, even Chicago, Kansas City, when you come to St. Louis, we're going to provide you an opportunity to get that Black experience in terms of going and spending money, with your clubs, the restaurants. You have large venues such as the Ambassador that have national, international acts coming in. Now, as tourism has developed, okay, we want to make certain that those dollars being spent, when people come into the city of St. Louis, they need to feel safe and comfortable that they can exchange and do commerce with black-owned operated businesses. Okay. And our overall purpose also is to try to provide scholarships and training for those people that are interested in the hospitality industry.
Well, that's great. That's what I wanted to talk about, because we certainly, being a religious station as we are, we can't encourage anybody to go to taverns and drink beer and alcohol and so forth. But your experience includes that, which is a very vital part of what you do now, because Nelson Harvey, you're so well known in the industry, so well known as a commercial entity, actually on your own. How can we reach you, Nelson?
Well, you can reach me. My email is nelsonharvey1051@gmail.com, or you can call me at 314-276-2147.
Good. Okay. Now, also, you have a wonderful brochure here called the St. Louis Black Tourism Association Travel Guide. How was that developed, and why?
Well, Bernie, if you can remember, after I left Lismark Distributing with Colonel Gates, I started St. Louis Nights magazine in 1990.
I remember very well. Yeah.
And St. Louis Nights magazine was just an advertisement for club owners to put ads in to let them know what's going on and restaurants and things that are coming into St. Louis. And again, I've been working with black-owned operated club owners and restaurants for the last 40 years. So we've developed a relationship. Now, the magazine was a merchandising and promotional tool that was an excellent way to get their message out to consumers.
Right.
Now, at this point, the Black Tourism Association, we've developed relationships with Plush, Limousine Services, the Central West End Bed and Breakfast, different restaurants, and a lot of the tavern owners, the club owners association.
Right.
And what we're doing is getting that message out. The brochure is available for advertisements, where you can advertise in there, and our distribution, again, is targeted at cities like Chicago, Kansas City, Decatur,
all the way to Indianapolis,
Peoria.
right?
Yeah.
Down to Memphis.
Indianapolis, Memphis,
Yeah, sure.
which we physically go in, promote St. Louis, promote our entertainers. As a promoter myself, I've done several shows that
big shows.
Big shows.
Yes, sure.
And we wanted to celebrate the history of St. Louis, because many people now don't understand that jazz here in St. Louis, if you go back to the days of Gene Lynn's, the La Casa, things of this nature, even Ella's on Martin Luther King, Blue Swan, which is still open on Martin Luther King. When you had Albert King playing out on the garden, things of this nature, this was just taken for granted.
Otis's places.
And Otis places. Our good friend Gene Norman from Geno's did a lot of blues, and this was locally. So when we look at the overall history of St. Louis nightlife, we think that it's an excellent time now for everyone to come together, your restaurants, your mothers, your fish places, matter of fact, Arkansas, there's a restaurant again that's still open that has been open over 40, 45 years. Now, one of the things that I should mention, many people have asked me which is the oldest club that's still existing in the city of St. Louis, and that would be at this point the Harlem Tap Room, which is celebrating in essence of 75 years. So when we speak in terms of the history, getting people to enjoy the history of nightlife in St. Louis, more so it's the history of entertainment, Black St. Louis, is more than just looking at Gaslight Square or looking at, Leclerc's Landing downtown, Soulard Market.
So there's a very rich history of African Americans entrepreneurship here in St. Louis, and you're trying to tap that. Do you think, I want to come back, I got to take a break right now.
Yeah.
I want to come back and ask about how important black dollars are.
Okay.
You know, and how they're overlooked and often. My guest is Nelson Harvey, St. Louis Black Tourism Association. But we're located at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri, because the 1411 Locust Street downtown facility has been closed, but Reverend Rice and his staff and volunteers are trying to reopen it because it live up to the codes that they so illegally put upon us. But we're at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri, and the same programs that were ministered down there are being administered from here. We're still taking care of the poor, still feeding the hungry, still providing services for, utilities and so forth. But we certainly and desperately need your help and support. But I'm not asking you for money. I'm asking for an investment from you in New Life Evangelistic Center. Investment in New Life. Because it's immeasurable, the numbers that the people who probably lives have been saved by New Life Evangelistic Center. We probably can't count them. But that's what happens when Larry Rice and others take into their hearts the people that are in need. So we need your help. We need your support. You can help us through Post Office Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri 63166. Let me say that again. Post Office Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri 63166. Or online at www.newlifeevangelisticcenter. That's one word, newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. American Express, Visa, American MasterCard, Discover Card. It takes less than 2 minutes to invest in new life for others. Back with Nelson Harvey after this.
Hello, I'm Larry Rice. Let me write you a creation prescription at this particular time. A prescription for healing, a prescription for hope. And that prescription is spending 30 minutes to an hour outside, experiencing God's wonderful creation. Job, in the middle of all of his affliction, let down by family and friends, when taken and beholding God's wonderful creation, experienced a healing in his soul. Read it yourself in Job chapter 39 through 41. Till finally Job declared, before I heard about you, but now I really see you, God, experience you in a new and powerful way. Paul speaks of how Christ holds all things together in Colossians chapter 1, starting at verse 15. Get up now, go outside, spend some time in creation, experience God's healing power in your spirit. Let him lift that high blood pressure and heal you from that stress and that anxiety as you take this creation prescription and move in the wonders of all of God's great creation.
We'll return to our guests after this Black History Moment. Today's subject, County Cullen, who was born County Leroy Porter on May 30th, 1903 in Louisville, Kentucky. Cullen entered New York University after high school. Around the same time, his poems were published in The Crisis under the leadership of W.E.B. Du Bois at Opportunity, a magazine of the National Urban League. He won several awards for his poem, Ballad of the Brown Girl, and graduated from New York University in 1925. The same year, he published his first volume of verses, Color, and was admitted to Harvard University, where he completed the master's degrees in English. Cullen went on to publish several more poetry collections, including On These I Stand, an anthology of best poems of County Cullen, The Black Christ, and other poems. His work demonstrates a range of subjects and aesthetic interests that poets of the Harlem Renaissance addressed. Cullen taught in New York City public schools for 12 years, beginning in 1934. Cullen died January the 6th, 1946. County Cullen.
Now you can take NLEC TV anywhere as you put the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. NLEC TV is an innovative TV station that's on the cutting edge of community service. On NLEC TV, you'll discover wholesome family, community, renewable energy, and inspirational programming. Those needing energy assistance, food, clothing, or freedom from the cycle of homelessness will find that plus much more on NLEC TV. Now, you can receive NLEC TV by going to 24.2 on your television set or putting the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. For further information, call 314-436-2424 or go to nlecstl.org. That's nlecstl.org.
Welcome back. My guest is Nelson Harvey. Nelson, welcome back to the St. Louis Black Tourism Association. How did you come up with that idea, first of all?
Well, Bernie, I think it was a culmination of what I've been doing for the last 45 years, starting with the 7-Up Company World Headquarters out there in Clayton, then working with Colonel Gates, and then being in business for myself with St. Louis Knights magazine.
Yeah.
I was involved. It was a pleasure to work with these black entrepreneurs, club owners, restaurants, people like yourself, entertainers, DJs, and we created a family. And I felt that we needed to provide the world an opportunity to see a very positive St. Louis area, so we could appreciate the history of the black market in St. Louis.
It's often overlooked, is it not?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And Bob Demler, producer and director, asked about, is this only for black folks to come, or is it for the whole universe?
It's for the entire universe. Okay. What we want to be able to show is that when you come to St. Louis, if you like jazz, if you like blues,
or soul,
R&B,
even
classical music, you can come and enjoy the black experience,
right?
Okay, and spend dollars. We're looking for you to, when you go, for example, if you go down to the baseball game, if you go to the art, you're spending money,
right? And
that money is important for the community. We want people to come into our community to spend dollars, go shopping, get their hair done, enjoy the rich history that we have. And that's basically, we know that in the future, since the tourism business is the #1 industry, we need to be involved in it. Right. And we essentially want to have a segmented marketing approach to the city's overall tourism.
Right. I understand that the bed and breakfast is reopening.
Yeah, the Central West End bed and breakfast is back open.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we felt that we needed to be able to do is to develop programs, effective, efficient programs that would generate and stimulate people coming into the area. So we've developed several programs that will be running out in 2020. Blues, beer, and barbecue at the Central West End Bed and Breakfast. And again, one of the things with I should say about the Central West End Bed and Breakfast, here again, it's a black-owned operated venue that people from out of town can certainly get in touch with them and stay and enjoy the Central West End, but not only the Central West End, but areas around there.
Right, right.
So when we look at events such as developing something for Juneteenth, which is in the state of Missouri, it's one that's been recognized, and we want to develop and make certain that the entire community is going to be celebrating Juneteenth. Historically, we've done what we call tavern nights. Okay. Which again is just a celebration of black-owned operated clubs. That's an annual event that takes place in December. Right. So one of the things that I think is extremely important is that people need to understand the tremendous impact that the black market has in terms of generation of dollars. If I go back to the era of Lismark Distributing, in 1984-85, we generated close to $15 to $16 million of sales. 80% of our total volume came from the black market. Over 80% of the total production of cognac sold in the state of Missouri is in the black market. And when you look at numbers such as that, you can see that companies, corporations need to pay attention to the black market. But in the same accord, the black market needs to come together, to work with the city of St. Louis, its tourism event, so we can come together as a unified group.
Okay. Now, one thing, people talk about they're coming down to the Cleves Landing and coming to the Gateway Arch and coming to the Central West End, the different tourist attractions, the Art Museum and so forth. St. Louis has just as many attractions, not only just for black people, but for the community at large. And so I assume this is what you're trying to garner, right? Let the people know that it's safe to come to the African American community. It's safe to come to these wonderful cultural institutions and so forth.
Exactly. One of the things that makes St. Louis is the diversity that we have in terms of culture.
Yeah.
And what we simply want to do is to present and position the St. Louis black experience, the history of the restaurants, the history of clubs, entertainment. So when you decide that you want to experience the black market or
Sweetie
black
pies,
culture,
they come to Sweetie pies.
yeah, when you start talking
That's
about coming to Sweetie Pies,
Yeah,
it's a
sure.
prime example in terms of people coming from all over. They want to converge into Sweetie Pies. We want to create that for our venues that we have now. And I'm very happy that a lot of the younger entrepreneurs are getting into restaurants.
Okay.
Food, not only liquor, but food and entertainment.
Okay. We got to take another short break here. I want to come back and talk to you about that. But how can they reach you? That's what I want to come back after we talk. Okay. And how can they take advantage of the St. Louis Black Tourism Association? In the meantime, you see our wonderful mugs lined up here on the table. This is the Bernie Hayes Show mug. This is Harrisville State University, where you find me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's Webster University, where you find me on Tuesday and Thursdays. But here is where my heart is. And Reverend Larry Rice would like for you to have a Bernie Hayes Show mug, as do I. And I would like for you to own one. And here's how you can do it from Reverend Larry Rice.
For many years, Bernie Hayes has been on the front lines leading the charge for social justice. It's been a great privilege of mine to get to know Bernie personally, and I want us, in celebration of all that Bernie has done, to share with you one of these very special Bernie Hayes mugs and a copy of a book, Through the Fires, which tells you about the battle for social justice at 1411 Locust, where gentrifiers came into the neighborhood and literally shut down the church at the New Life Evangelistic Center at 1411 Locust Street because they didn't want those kind of people in the neighborhood. Direct bigotry. Now, if you'll request this mug and share a gift of $25 or more, we'll send you this book, 328 pages that go into great detail on all the manipulating behind the scenes and on the scenes that took place in order for the city of St. Louis to consider it a nuisance because there were hurting and homeless people in the neighborhood. We would love to see a beloved community, that when development takes place in a community, instead of the poor and the elderly and the homeless being pushed out, it's a beloved community that welcomes people from all over, regardless of their racial background or who they might be. They're people made in the image of God. Bernie Hayes has fought for that for years. And now we're teaming up with Bernie in a very special and powerful way. If you'll just call in our 421-302, or you can send your special gift and just say, please send me the Bernie Hayes mug. We will include in that Through the Fire, historical book that I've written on how the St. Louis gentrifiers tried to destroy a church because of its homeless congregations. You know, there's a common saying that if your neighbor's house on fire, yours in danger also. The bigotry, the hypocrisy in the city of St. Louis affects all of us. I thank God for Bernie, who has continued to point it out and root it out. Now we're teaming up with Bernie. When you request the Bernie Hayes mug and share a gift of $25 or more to New Life Evangelistic Center, I'll include my book, Through the Fire. We'd love to hear from you. Share now. P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri.
And I sincerely hope that you'll get a mug and also Reverend Rice's book, Through the Fire. It says how St. Louis gentrifiers tried to destroy a church because of its homeless congregation. Reverend Larry Rice. That's his latest book. And Nelson Harvey, Reverend Rice wants you to have a copy of his book.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's his gift to you for coming by and sharing with us here at New Life Evangelistic Center, and for all the
Appreciate
work,
it.
all the help that
Appreciate
you've
it.
given him over the years. He really appreciates that too.
All right.
So Nelson, how can one reach you, and how can one take advantage of the St. Louis Black Tourism Association?
Bernie, we're in the process now of developing a national campaign
Okay.
that will emphasize the history of Black St. Louis and position it as a positive way to experience the city. And we're looking for members. Our membership drive will start January 1st, 2020.
Okay. So
And you can reach me at area code 314
say it slow. Say it slow.
276-2147. Or you can email me at nelsonharvey1051@gmail.com.
Okay. You don't have a website as yet?
Well, our website is still up, and it's St. Louis Nights, NIGHTS magazine.com.
Okay. But the St. Louis Black Tourism Association, you're trying to get local businesses to let the people know that they exist through the St. Louis Black Tourism Association.
That is correct.
And it's such an easy way to do it, Nelson. And there's so many black dollars circulating in the St. Louis area. Black folks go to white establishments. Now we want everybody to come to some black establishments. Is that correct?
Exactly. Exactly. And we think that the key is the unity of the black club owners, venues, restaurants, them coming together and us making a commitment that we want to show a positive, image
Sure.
of our community. But we also recognize the fact that when you have the interdependency of the black dollar flowing, our community will certainly improve. And if we're able to get our membership base solid, if we're able to secure sponsorships, we can develop programs that will ensure the fact that this tourism base will be part of the overall success of the city of St. Louis.
That's great.
And black folks need to participate and be involved in tourism.
Okay, so they can actually advertise in your magazine
Exactly.
and also in the National Association.
And support a lot of the events that we're going to be putting together. Our main thing is to develop events that will create and attract people coming in.
Sure.
And when we get them in, we want the entrepreneurs, the club owners, the restaurants, the beauty salons, barbershops, clothing stores to take advantage of the people coming in so they'll be able to generate increased dollars.
That exposure is very important, isn't
Exactly,
it?
exactly.
And I'm sure that this is just what most African American companies need, the St. Louis Black Tourism Association. And I'm just so glad that you came up with this idea and you put it into motion. So it's an action plan that will help not only the African American community, but when you help the African American community, you're helping everybody.
Everybody.
That's right. Nelson Harvey, thank you so much for being with me.
Bernie, always a pleasure.
It's been a long time, man.
Long time.
Long time friendship, and I'm so glad that you and Reverend Larry Rice appreciates all you've done for him over the years too. And I thank you for supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center. It's New Life. That's the word. That's the key that Reverend Larry Rice came up with, and it supports New Life. And you'd be surprised at how many people's lives have changed around and turn around because of New Life Evangelistic Center. Support us. We're 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri, 63114. Come and take a tour. Come and see the energy saving program. Come and see the different programs that are here at New Life. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day. See you next time.